live from the Cactus Creek at Ibri. He is the king of prime time, Ghana's undisputed entertainment laureate, and still the youngest old man in Ghana. Put your hands together, show some love for the indefatigable KSM.
It's the KSM Show.
Thank you. You know, sometimes when I'm going to bed, especially when I'm going to be recording the following day, it depends on my mood going to bed. Sometimes I'm bored. Tonight I'm bored. Tomorrow, my guest, I should need somebody who is a fireman. So I said, I went through my list of firemen. I picked one. I said, Eddie? So my next guest, man, is going to give us some fire. Usually we call him Sam Nati George. The name that we know him as, a.k.a. Jata. So put your hands together and show some love for Jata in the house. Hey! Boom. Jata, welcome to the show, man. Good to see you. Please have a seat. The last time you came here was 7 years ago.
Yes, just after I had gone into parliament.
After you had gone into parliament, that's right. But folks, Jata is in the house, man. We're going to take a short commercial break. When we come back, fireworks. Stick around, folks. We'll be right back.
The KSM Show.
A priceless possession that you should get for yourself is land. Land, man, that thing is priceless. Now, Afro-Arab Properties are offering amazing land at Ningo Pram Pram. This is like litigation-free. And that's the thing that clicked my ear. It is litigation-free land at Ningo Pram Pram. Absolutely fabulous. Now, if you want to get any information on this land, please send WhatsApp to this number, 044 109 133. Send your inquiry on WhatsApp and they'll get back to you.
Buy a house and pay in 5 years. Oh yes, it is possible. Afro-Arab Properties introduces Lamines Courts. You can own a 2-bedroom house in a gated community with flexible payment terms. With $57,000 or each CD equivalent, your dream of owning a house will be a reality. Enjoy 30% discount on one-time payments and pay $39,900 or each CD equivalent. Get a 5% discount when you make 40% down payment. Move in and complete 60% within 12 to 60 months. Then you can spread the payments of the remaining 60% in CDs at the current prevailing rate throughout the 60 months with no interest at all. There are more amazing packages made just for you. Project location is at Obeye off Odoman Ablekuma Road, close to Amasaman, Accra. For more inquiries, reach us on 0244 109 133 or www.afroarabproperties.com. Lamines Courts. Everyone can buy a house. Terms and conditions apply.
It was so successful, man. And as we mentioned, that every last Sunday of the month, you be dear boom. So coming on the 26th of this month, yes, dear boom. Kwampa will still be there live, and the food dear Esewani. So make sure to call 055 039 5007.
Cactus Creek. It is no longer Ghana's best kept secret. It's an open secret. So serene, so heavenly. And the meals? Just like home cooking. Cactus Creek. Your soul will thank you. Call or WhatsApp 055 039 5007.
KSM Essentials has good news for you. If you're in Takoradi and its environs, don't worry. You can pick up Azipa Essentials jacket at Ruler Unisex Boutique in Anaji, Takoradi, Queen of Peace in Takofo Road. Call or WhatsApp 0544 548766.
back. Thank you so much. Sam Nate George, aka Jata. How did you come up? You ended up being in Jata. You know, at first I was wondering, where's the name Jata? Is it Sam George Jata Nate or Nate? I was trying to figure out where the Jata was placed. Apparently,
The Jata there is a byproduct of the 2015 primaries with the late Honorable E.T. Mensah.
wow.
Yeah, you know, when I went into that primaries, one of the key things that I was hit with in the first month of campaign was that I was an overambitious young man. In Ghana, we say hashing, like I was too forward and all of that, and it became a weakness. So the elderly and more advanced in age people didn't want to associate with us, and we're just young people with fire and energy. So we decided to take a branding decision that okay, so we should call ourselves Charlie. My everything is like a lion.
Okay,
so that's why we are forceful. But at that time, Afote Agbo was in Parliament, and he was called Lion Ponkatamanso. Honorable Afote Agbo. I said, okay, if there's a lion in Ponkatamanso, then there will be a Jata in Ngo Pram. and the Jata caught on, and everybody said, oh, that explains the forcefulness and everything. And now Jata has become the household name.
Yeah,
it's become the brand.
So show some love for Jata, man. He's in the house.
Yeah.
We have so much to talk about today, but let me take off from the point of you said when you came on, there was a group of young people, the youth, very energetic, you know, firebrand youth.
Yeah.
So what's your assessment of the youth today? I hear there's something called is it Jakpa? Jakpa. You know, the youth are all trying to leave the country. What happened? Where's that dynamic enthusiasm in the youth?
Uncle, we've messed up the country for the youth. And I said we, because it's a collective thing. You know, we've created a situation where young people have no hope in our country again. You know, I asked the other day on a TV program, I said, what is the Ghanaian dream? It looks like you ask a 7-year-old American, what's the American dream? He knows what it is.
He'll tell you.
You know, so what's the Ghanaian dream? Ghanaian dream is to become an MP and drive a V8.
That's their dream.
Aside that, there's nothing else. There's no hope for any young person again. And it's an indictment of our failing as a state, as a country, as government, past, current, to really focus on the issues of the young people. You realize that our young people are put in a ministry called Youth and Sports.
Yeah.
That ministry is focused on sports. And in fact, when we say sports, it's focused on Black Stars. That ministry should be called Ministry of Black Stars. Because the sports crowd, they don't think about other sports. Even within the football crowd, they don't think of any other thing apart from the Black Stars. So as for the issue of youth, it is in the back burner. And that's why for me, I think that it will be critical for us to have a ministry dedicated to our young people, focused on our young people. But it is that despondency. And you see, Uncle, when you are giving hope and that hope is dashed, the reaction is different from if you didn't have any expectation. Okay? Because when people have expectations, that's when they are disappointed. In 2016, the young people of our country were giving hope. Look, I was in government at the time. I was a member of the NDC. But some of the MPP messages, I hoped that it could happen for the young people of our country. Because, I mean, I'm also a young person. And you raise the hope of the youth of our country to that level, and you fail them so abysmally, there's only one thing left for our young people: to japa, to run away from the country. You know, and you see the number of young graduates who are leaving the country. The brain drain we see today is worse than 79 and 81. Okay, because if you look at 79 and 81 and you look at the volume of human resource we had, the numbers we had, and compare it to today and the number of people who are leaving, it's mind-boggling. You know, it's a sad thing where we've gotten to, because young people were promised jobs. Young people were told they'll pay their rents for them. Young people were given all kinds of promises. We only have a knee-jerk reaction to jobs. I mean, for example, this whole issue of youth unemployment, it became a national security problem under President Kufuor in 2006. The government's reaction to it was the then National Youth Employment Program, NYEP. No legal framework, nothing. Just give them jobs. Some don't even show up. Every month you get a small allowance. That was a knee-jerk reaction. But what we started doing was we were taking a mortgage on unemployment. So you have an unemployment crisis. You employ 100,000 young people, give them a 2-year contract, and after 2 years, you throw them away. And then say you're going to recruit a fresh batch. Those 100,000, where do they go to when you take them off? The NDC came into office, set up a legal framework for it with a YEA, Youth Employment Agency. It had its own challenges, issues of corruption. There are people in jail today. Abu Gapeli and the other gents, the private businessman, who has serving time for the mismanagement of resources that were accrued there. Okay, YEA also was 2 years, 3 years, we move you off. So then Nanado came, he's done NABCO. They are not paid, 2 years, you throw them off. So if you are front-loading unemployment and pretending to employ the young people of our country, only to postpone their hardship for 2 years, you're not solving the problem.
So Sam, when does this stop? Because as you're saying, this is systematic, and the focus is always political. I don't think people spend time with the youth of Ghana to see what their needs are. You have talked about, we don't even have a dedicated ministry to the youth. We have youth and sports. Like we are youth with the Odiani sports.
Yeah, Odiani sports.
I one time said, I think they should make youth and education, But
that would be a fantastic suggestion.
Ministry of Youth and Education.
So that we're educating our young people.
Exactly. So I'm saying that this has become systemic. Now people are like jackpine, they're leaving the country. How do we stop that? Or do we just say, well, I jackpot myself, I mean, look ready, But I came back because there was some hope that I can come back and do something and enhance the quality. Yeah. But if people are going in and say, Charlie, when are you coming? So I did Fourth World War. Stuff like that. Can we turn things around?
No, Uncle, we can joke and laugh about some of these things, but like you point out, they are very critical issues.
Yeah.
And I think that our country needs a reset. Our country needs a fundamental reset. At times you use your phone or you use an electronic device, and because you've downloaded all kinds of things and everything, all of a sudden it becomes slow, it's malfunctioning, and then they say you need to do, in ICT we say you need to do a hard boot or a factory reset. Okay, where you basically wipe it off and it comes back to like a clean slate. That's really what we need. And I honestly think that you can't take away the political role in there. This reset has to happen with a political will and leadership. But politicians can't do it alone. They need to do it in tandem and in conjunction with private sector. Because there's a limit to what the public sector can employ. The public sector currently employs less than just about 800,000 people. But if you look at our working population, you're talking of in excess of 11 million people. So there's no way government can employ. The private sector has to employ. So you need to have a president who is focused on resetting our country, taking tough decisions that may not necessarily be politically correct, but is willing to place the issues of young people front and center, create the enabling environment for private sector to employ these young people. I think that John Mahama may be the key to that. Because like I said, you can't take that out. Because looking at the options, there's John Mahama, there's Alan Chemanting, and there's Mahmoud Bawumia. So you have the umbrella, you have the butterfly, and then the elephant.
Forgot Kofi Kranting.
Okay, yes, he's also there. But I mean, let's call a spade a spade. I mean, this is actually really a showdown between John and Bawumia. And as far as I'm concerned, if John has 4 years, what he has as a task for him will be to leave a legacy that he reset this country for the young people of our country. He doesn't have to think about re-election, unlike Mahmoud Bawumia, who may have to think about re-election if and the likely event that we make the mistake to elect him in 2025. But the point is, you need a president who will be held responsible for taking the tough decisions for our young people, who would enter into a social pact with the young people of our country to give them a dedicated ministry, with dedicated KPIs for whoever is going to be minister of that youth ministry, saying to him that this is what I want to see. These are the kinds of synergies we need to build between industry, private sector, the educational institutions, and our young people. Because you see, Uncle, you talk to many people in private business and they tell you that our graduates we are churning out of our universities are not fit for work. They're not fit for work because you have you have a disconnect between the world of industry and the world of academia.
Yeah.
So we need to have that's why I said it's a complete reset, where academia is now going to be churning out the rightly skilled labor that business needs. And you see, that's the disconnect. Under the NPP administration, they said they were trying to bring in vehicle assembly plants. But your universities are churning out a lot more HR and procurement people than engineers or technically skilled people. So there's a disconnect.
Yeah.
So policy for job creation and industrialization must be linked to academia, because academia must provide you the feedstock of human resource that's going to work in your industries. Industries must also be giving an incentive to employ young people, because, uncle, look, a young person has graduated from the university, done national service for 10 or 11 months. The person goes on the job market, and every employer is asking for 5 years of experience. Who will give the person, the young man, a job to get the experience for you to come and employ? So we must have a system where companies get tax breaks or tax credits for the number of young people they employ, for the number of young people they take straight from the universities and train. Uncle, when you were graduating from the university, or you were in the university here in Ghana and things, your time, the 70s, my father was also there in the 70s, the universities were coming to them in their third year and fourth year and poaching the businesses. The industries were coming to the universities and poaching people from there. Now it's not happening. The companies now want you to have experience before you come. We must build a certain environment where there's an incentive for a business to actually employ young people, groom them, nurture them, and train them. Because if we can give tax holidays and tax breaks to foreigners who come to work here in our country and make profit and repatriate that money, you should be able to give a certain incentive for them to employ young people and train our young people.
This all goes to me, so far I'm concerned, it goes back to resetting the thinking and the agenda.
Yes.
Now the problem all politicians, you're one, or political parties have, is that resetting is going to take a lot of commitment, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of changes, and which political party is ready to say, Charlie, me when I'm coming, we are going to do a mind resetting, we have to forgo this, we have to forgo that. It's now predicated on promises. Which party promises, and that's what people want to hear.
So we are our own problem as a people.
Yes.
Because if a candidate came up today and spoke solely to the issues, that candidate is not going to be as attractive as the one who came with flowery slogans. We love the slogans. We don't love the substance. And that's the problem of our country. There's the need for deep political will. And for me, I keep saying that, look, we're going into an election in 2024, barely 12 months from now. In fact, 12 months and 13 months exactly from today, or about 13 months from now, and we need to ask ourselves a very fundamental question. The two leading candidates, or even three if you want to add Honorable Alan Tremanting in there, these leading candidates have a certain level of track record that we can look at and scrutinize. None of them is perfect, but as far as I'm concerned, the track records speak a complete picture of difference between what they stand for. If I look at President Mahama, and I'm the very first person to say that President Mahama is no saint. He's not without fault in his first 4 years as president. There were mistakes that were made. But I believe that the benefit of hindsight, and that's something that is very human in nature, after you've left and you have the benefit of hindsight to sit back and reevaluate what you did, you're able to say, I could have done this better, I could have done this better. But our constitution doesn't allow you to come after you've done your 8 years. In his case, he's got the opportunity of a break to take stock after 4 years. When he comes back, he's coming back a more focused man. I've worked closely with him over the last 8 years, I'll say for the last 12 years, from his 4 years as president, or from even when he was vice president, 4 years as president, and 7 years in opposition. And I have seen a transition in his thinking. I've seen a transition in the way he approaches issues from when we were in government. Clearly, this is a man who's taken stock. You have Dr. Bawumia, who is currently in the position, whose own words betray his lack of candor and the lack of ability to deliver on what he's promised. Because, I mean, and I can tell you what he said in 2016, when we were saying that they should give John Mahama the opportunity to run. He said, if you've been president for 8 years, or you've been at the presidency for 8 years, and you had the wherewithal to fix the economy and you failed to fix it, you have no business continuing in office. Bawumia has been head of our economic management team for 7 years. What has he done? In 2016, when he took over government from John Mahama, $1 was exchanging at 3.8 interbank, 4.1 on the black market. Today, interbank 11.7, black market 12.1. And this is the vice president who, as head of economic management team, told us he had arrested the dollar and handed the keys over to the IGP. So if he had not arrested the dollar there, I wonder what would have happened. You know, and this is a vice president who has branded and been sold to us as an economic whiz kid, who had worked as deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana, knew where the things were. For 7 years, he's superintended over the worst form of and phase of our economy. When John Mahama was leaving office, our total national debt was 70 billion. Under him, it's 830 billion. John Mahama, as head of economic management team, as vice president for 4 years, had 33 months of single-digit inflation. At the time John Mahama was transitioning from vice president to president, inflation in Ghana was 9.2%. When he was leaving office as president, it was 15%. Today, under Bawumia, inflation went, as head of economic management team, went as high as 53.1% and has now dropped to 42%. So you're asking yourself, if you have these two records, and for me, this is not going to be about sloganeering. The young people of our country must be interested in empirical evidence. Okay? It's about, I'll make one point and end on this subject. It's about the character of the person. Because you see, when a man tells you he will give you something, you must know the character of a man.
Let's end on, not end, let's take a break
on this.
Commercial break on this.
I will come back to the character of the man.
Yeah, we'll come back to the character, and then I have several other questions
Sure.
to pick your brains on.
Sure.
So stick around. Folks, we'll be right back.
The KSM Show.
Yeah, it was so successful, man. And as we mentioned, that every last Sunday of the month, you be dear boom. So coming on the 26th of this month, yes, dear boom, Kwampa will still be there live, and the food dear Esewani. So make sure to call 055-039-5007.
Cactus Creek. It is no longer Ghana's best kept secret. It's an open secret. So serene, so heavenly. And the meals? Just like home cooking. Cactus Creek. Your soul will thank you. Call or WhatsApp 055-039-5007.
The Wizard. Azepa Essentials has good news for you. If you're in Takoradi and its environs, don't worry. You can pick up Azepa Essentials jacket at Ruler Unisex Boutique in Anaji, Takoradi, Queen of Peace in Takofo Road. Call or WhatsApp 0544 548766.
KSM Show.
We're back, and we're happy. Samuel, you know, I keep listening, you know, and things that we talk about are things that we really, really want, but we don't get it. The implementation always messes up. Anyway, let me continue. Let me take you back to character thing, then we'll come back into this.
Sure.
Because...
So, Uncle, you see, leadership must show character. And And we must be able to trust our leaders. We've gotten to a stage in our country where we take our comedians very seriously and we take our government as jokers. Because when government says anything, you know that it's a joke. They're not going to be serious about it. And our comedians are saying some very, very serious things in this country that are very deep. And when you get to that stage, you must realize that, okay, things are getting really bad. Because the character of people in leadership is extremely questionable. If you tell me as a citizen that you would deliver a certain good, I should have a certain level of trust in you that you would deliver it. But when we've gotten to a place where everybody's become cynical about our political leadership, because our political leaders themselves have not shown the best of character. I mean, for example, you want to be able to take a man's word for it. I mean, one of the things my father said to me as a young boy when I was growing up is, Sam, when you give a man your word is your bond. When you have a handshake on something, you must stick by it. But our government doesn't do that with us. Okay? And if even in a man's relationship with his creator, you cannot decipher sincerity, it becomes a big problem. Uncle, in this country today, we can't tell whether, and I'm doing this between the leading candidates. At least we know John Mahama is a Christian and goes to Assemblies of God. Dr. Bawumia, Vice President, is he a Muslim or a Christian? We don't know.
But should it matter anyway?
It should. Uncle, you see, certain things are critical for us as leaders. Issues of your religion and faith. Irrespective of whichever religion it is, you must be a man of faith, because if you cannot be honest to your creator God, then what are you going to do with us? You must be a man of family. If you cannot take care of your family, if you cannot be a responsible head of your household, how can we entrust the whole country into your hands? So if Bawumia is a Muslim by day and a Christian by night, how can we trust him to run this country? Because the man cannot own fidelity to even one faith. Today, he's telling you that he believes in Jesus Christ as his Lord and personal Savior. No true Muslim believes that. That is a fundamental cardinal principle in Islam, that Jesus Christ is a prophet. He's not the Lord and Savior. So if a Muslim is saying, if he claims to be a Muslim, and he's saying this, then you're asking yourself a question. When issues of Islam have come up and the faith he professes have come up, he's been silent. When the issue of hijab for Muslim girls came up, he was silent. He never spoke. When the issue of fasting, recently, Wesley girls, during Ramadan, the vice president was silent. When the young men were killed in Kumasi Zongo, Muslim boys, killed in cold blood by the police, and he, Bawumia, is the head of the police council. He was silent. He didn't speak on them. Yet he found it appropriate to tease President Mahama for attending a Molid and called him Malam John. Yet it's the same person who tells us that he was called Thomas when he was in the Methodist Boys Brigade. So which is which? If a man cannot be faithful, right? I don't know whether to refer to him as Dr. Mahmoud Thomas Bawumia. If you cannot have faith and trust that a man can be honest to his creator in the issues of his faith, how can you entrust running a country into such a person's hands? These are critical issues, and these are the things that leave our young people disillusioned. These are the things that will make the young boys in the Zongo look at Dr. Bawumia and say, I need to japa. Because Dr. Bawumia promised them that because he was a Muslim, he had pushed for the setup of the Zongo Development Fund in the MPP's manifesto of 2020. And that within the 4 years of this government, they were going to build 16 model senior high schools in each of the 16 regions, one in a Zongo in each of the regions. Uncle, they've not even cut sword for one.
So if I get it.
So these are the reasons why people would ask themselves questions. And so people will want to understand that the man we are voting for, what is his character?
Yeah, but is that the same thing as what is his religious belief? Because me, personally, doesn't bother me whether you're a Muslim or a Hindi or a traditionalist. My point, like you're saying, is the character. I don't seem to be getting you now. Are you
so
upset because he, as a Muslim, he believes that there was a Christ?
No. So what is upsetting me is the ambiguity in his faith. You don't have a problem with the person being a Christian or a Muslim or a Hindi.
Yeah.
But what you may have a problem with is not knowing whether the person is a bird or an animal and makes himself a bat. You want to know if this is a bird or if it is if it's a mammal, because you don't know you don't know what he is. And that's the point I'm making, that if Dr. Bawumia is a Muslim, I have absolutely no problem with it. I have very good friends who are Muslims.
Yeah.
Very good friends. The Honorable Alasan Saibu Surini is my bosom friend. He's a Muslim. Fantastic gentleman.
So that doesn't bother you?
So that doesn't bother me. But you see, I can't say same for Dr. Bawumia.
Because he goes to Pentecost?
No. Oh, as for Pentecost, right now he's an associate member of the Pentecost Church. Every time he's there dancing, waving the white and doing the Pentecost dance, with his wife in tow. But the question I'm saying is, if you've converted to become a Christian, let us know you are a Christian. If you are still a practicing Muslim, be a practicing Muslim. Because see, uncle, if a man cannot be clear on the issue of his faith, he can't be clear with managing your finances. And that's why Dr. Bawumia, as head of economic management team, has superintended the worst economic management of our economy. It is only under Dr. Bawumia that pensioners who worked for their whole life and bought what is considered the safest financial instrument, government bonds, have been given a haircut. Maybe because he doesn't have hair on his hair, he wants all pensioners to have a haircut as well. Okay? But government bonds, 100 billion Ghana cedis lost under his watch. Because, you see, it goes to the character. Because your character, your relationship and walk with God, whichever God it is you believe in, would shape the way you relate with mankind. How can you say you love God when you don't love your fellow man?
Do you think he's been swayed by politics, thinking that, hey, Charlie, Ghana, see, if they will ask, I'll quote him, when I say Kamundi, what you mean the president? Things like that. So the thing is, if you want to be a president of Ghana, you must be a Christian. Well, so even though he is Muslim, he has to appeal to the Christian voters to get them to understand that, yeah, I'm Muslim, but if Pentecost is hanging out, having all night and they invite me to, I'll go some.
Uncle, Uncle, as MP, I have Muslims in my constituency. I joined the Muslims on the most significant night of their fasting, the night of power, during the Ramadan. It is the most significant night. It is believed to be the most powerful night. That's why it's called the night of power. It's an all-night service. I joined the Muslims in my constituency. I've sent people from my constituency on Hajj. The Muslims in my constituency used to have to go and bury their dead in Tema because they didn't have a Muslim cemetery. I bought land for them. I have never for once, ever, tried to paint a picture that because of my relationship, fantastic relationship with the Muslim community in my constituency, I have become a Muslim. So when you meet me, call me Abdul Rauf. No, Abdul Jatta. I have maintained my identity as a Christian and said that I have a fantastic relationship with the Muslim community. Because you see, Ghana and that whole perception that you must be a Christian, there's nothing backing it. Ghana is not a Christian nation. We are not a secular state. We are a religious pluralistic state where our religious pluralism allows for us to have multiple religions expressing themselves without any superseding the other. Yes, we are a majority Christian country. But you see, the bottom line here is this. How can Christians trust you when you have not, simply because you go and stand on an altar and say that Jesus is our Lord and Savior? I mean, words talk is cheap. What is your walk? Have you accepted him as your Lord and Savior? That's a different question. That's what makes you a Christian. That's why I said people don't want to associate with a bat. They want to know whether it is a mammal or a bird. So if you're a Muslim, state that you are a Muslim who has a fantastic relationship with the church. And let us know that this is a man of values. Uncle, if you have no value set, you will be swayed by the wind with every wind that blows. And that is the problem of our vice president. That's why he came to us as an economic whiz kid. Now he's selling himself as an ICT guru boy. I mean, you don't know where he stands because every wind that blows, he will follow. Tomorrow, If it is about sports, and that one, he's already tried it. You saw when the Black Stars were going to play in what tracksuit they were trying to do the overhead kick. I mean, everything that becomes the trend. If tomorrow becoming a musician is the in thing, you see our vice president also singing. So you need to have a value set. That value set speaks to your character. There's nobody you would ask today, Sam George, what is his religious value set? Who won't tell you, I have professed my Christianity even in parliament. I don't hide it. But that has not affected my relationship with the Muslim community. When you ask what is Sam George's position on what a family should be, I believe it so much, I'm sponsoring a private member's bill against homosexuality. That is my view. My views are known. You can choose to agree or disagree with my views, but at least you know what you are agreeing or disagreeing with. In his case, you don't know what he stands for. So when you don't know what the person stands for, he's not 50 shades of gray, he's 100 shades of gray. Very wide spectrum. Then you have a problem because you don't know what you are dealing with. And such inconsistencies does not augur well for entrenching belief in our system, in our young people. Because don't forget, our young people are despondent. We can't run away from it. And the young people have part of the blame, but the system also has part of the blame. Because the young people are a result of the kinds of educational system that we have put in place for them. We have trained them to become the way they are. Okay? Uncle, in fact, even my generation experienced that, and definitely your generation. Yeah. We're brought up by community. We're brought up by parents who were present in our lives. Our parents shaped us. Today, the world that we live, the young people who are coming up, many of them became men and women on their own at age 8 because their parents were absent. Yeah. There is no sense of community in their lives because their parents locked them behind walls and gates and burglar proofs, private cells. And so everybody is Lord and King unto himself. We have no sense of community. Our young people do not appreciate what it means to live for one another. So a young man sees another young man in distress, and his first reaction is not to help him out, is to pull a phone and go live. So that is the problem of our generation, and we need a complete reset. We need to start this. We need to start this from the base. My father was a young pioneer. And even today, my father is almost 90. When he speaks about his days as a young pioneer, you see his eyes light up. The songs Nkrumah taught them. They had a sense of belonging. Ghana belonged to them. There is no young person, including everybody in this room here, who is behind the camera, who thinks that Ghana belongs to them. They think it belongs to Sam George and his colleague politicians.
Is that true?
And that is the problem. And that is a fundamental problem.
How do we get them to start believing that Ghana belongs to them at this stage? As Americans say, has the bus left the station, which means is it too late now?
The bus has left the station, but maybe we can chase it with a faster bus and try to slow it down. Because you see, Uncle, we need to start from those who are in school now, the younger ones. Yeah. We need to start the orientation from there. Look, when we changed our curriculum and removed civics and RME from our curriculum, we hurt the moral fiber of our country. Okay? The current generation, the only way they can begin to have a sense is when they see us, today's politicians, begin to think about country beyond self or before self. When we begin to act in a way where...
So should we start with the politicians?
Oh, yes,
the
definitely.
Politicians to start thinking Ghana is
absolutely. Uncle, why should a politician have $1 million in your... In fact, more than $1 million, that they will steal your $1 million, you can't tell. Uncle, I'm sure if I entered your room right now and took 1,000 Ghana cedis, if you enter that room, you will know.
50.
You will know. You will know. You will know that something has moved. So why should a politician have so much that even when $1 million is taken, they don't know? It is obscene. It's obscene. It is unpardonable. And so no politician, look, we need to get to the place where we begin to name and shame politicians for corruption. You see, we mustn't get to that place where we have two different sets of laws. A young boy goes to steal a bunch of plantain because he is hungry, and we sentence him to 10 years with hard labor. A politician steals 100 million Ghana cedis, and he gets a slap on the wrist and is asked to do some refunds, and he can walk free. I mean, you are setting up an animal farm situation. And so as politicians, we need to rewrite the script. Because if we are not careful, we will get to the place, in fact, we've gotten to the place where the Gen Zs and millennials are beginning to romanticize and fantasize about military dictatorships. And that's a danger. They don't know what it means. They don't know what it means to live under a military dictatorship. And so they are romanticizing about it because we are failing them. And so we stand at the cusp of where we need as politicians to bear in mind. In Sri Lanka, it happened. And when it happened in Sri Lanka, when the youth of Sri Lanka hit the streets, they didn't go after only government people. Oh. They went after government and opposition people. And so I keep saying, in this country, everybody who has a V8 is seen as a government person, including the bank manager. So don't think that it is only politicians who will be affected. The youth will storm all the so-called high expense, $2 million houses. They will storm those places. Yeah. And so we as a country need to come to that place where we begin to say, look, this must end. We need a reset. And for me, I'm a young man. I have hope in John Mahama, and I hope he doesn't fail me. Because if he does, I'll criticize him. Because you see, John has a fantastic opportunity as president. He's not thinking of re-election. He should come and build a legacy that he resets this country for the young people of our country and sets us on the right path. He has that fantastic opportunity to do it. Yeah. He cannot fail us.
The only problem is that the party might not want that.
So he can leave the party. He can leave the party to do his own politicking. But when he sits in that chair, God willing, 7th of January 2025, he's not president of NDC. He's no longer leader of the NDC alone. He's now president of the Republic of Ghana. And so his thinking must be Ghana. His thinking must be the young people of Ghana, not young people of NDC. Because the young people of NDC, young people of MPP are the young people of Ghana. And John must leave a legacy for himself that I did this for the young people of our country. Because it is the young people who will put him in office. Oh, Uncle, our voting population is almost 60% young people. Yeah. So anybody who wins elections, it is because the young people are reposing a certain trust and confidence in you, and he cannot fail them. We won't let him fail them. We can't let him fail the young people of our country. And so it will come to that, we will get to that place where we will demand action of our own government. Because you see, Uncle, I, for personal reasons, decided to have all my 3 children in Ghana, so they have no other citizenship. I could have afforded to send them outside the country and giving them foreign citizenship. But it is a wake-up call for me every day when I wake up and see my children that if this country messes up, there will be refugees anywhere else. And so until we get to that place where our politicians are compelled to have medical care in Ghana and not abroad, we'll begin to fix our hospitals. Until we compel our politicians' kids to go to school here in Ghana, we won't fix our schools. Because the politicians, if we start putting politicians in jail, the facilities in our prisons will even improve.
They make sure it's hospitable.
We need to show leadership. Leadership is not about what you say, it's about what you do. And that's where we must get to as a country. And so, for me, President Mahama stands at that cusp where he can press the reset button and do a factory reset and set us on the course. Let's not get it twisted. Mahama can't fix everything in 4 years. It's impossible. In fact, the IMF says that the mess that has been created before we went into this IMF deal, we need 10 straight years of perfect economic management to get back to where we were.
Where we were supposed to be. Yeah.
In fact, if you look at our economy right now, we're like 1983. That's how bad it's gotten. So Mahama can't fix it. He doesn't have a magic wand. So don't get me wrong. But I expect that he will take the tough, hard decisions that are required to set us on that path for economic recovery, for bringing back businesses into Ghana, factories into Ghana, that will then employ our young people, for ensuring that our young people get the requisite training that will make them attractive in the world of work. Uncle, Ghana sits in a fantastic time zone where Ghana should be the ICT hub of the world. Most of the American and European companies outsource their call centers. You call them, and the person who picks the call has some Indian Hello? You can't even hear the English they're speaking. We have a fantastic English dialect. But we are not attracting those in here. Imagine a call center that had 500 capacity and you are working 24 hours. That's the 24-hour economy John Mahama spoke about. Because don't forget, if you set it up at GMT, which is our time, you can be servicing Europe, Central Europe, because it's plus or minus 2 or 3 hours. So European businesses can rely on you during their working hours. But at that same point in time, you can have another shift that works to service the eastern coast of America, which is 6-7 hours behind you. And you can also have another shift that services China and Japan 9 hours ahead of you. This is real. And John Mahama did it in his first term, the Accra Digital Center. It was 12 abandoned PWD, Public Works Department warehouses, abandoned. We got a $10 million facility under Omani Boama from the Rockefeller Foundation, converted it into a digital center. 10,000 Ghanaians are employed there. Abandoned warehouses. So imagine if we then had a presidential drive to make this the mainstay of our economy, and how many young people.
On that note, man, show some love for Jata. Yes, we have to end it here, but I just wanted to engage you because it's now clear that 2 or 3 front runners, or maybe 4, whatever, the front runners are clear.
Sure.
So from this show, we're going to start looking at the choices that are available to Ghanaians and help Ghanaians to think critically. You know, so that we make the right critical decisions, so that all those who are jackpot will hear that, Charlie, Ghana is changing. Let's come back.
They should come back.
you know, yeah. But thank you very much for joining us today,
thank
man.
you so much.
But I shouldn't be, the next time should it be 7 years later?
No. This one, we should do like a yearly conversation.
That's right.
A yearly update. 7 years later, too long.
Jata, Georgia. Thanks a lot one more time. And we're going to end it here. So until next week, when we come back with more excitement, depending on how I wake up. KSM signing off right now, saying, as I always do, since you were like a little boy when I said this show.
Yeah, I was a small boy.
Since he was a small boy, I was saying, we are out of, let the whole world say, yeah.